The Atari Network is a fan channel and is not affiliated with Atari. The Atari logo and name is copyrights of their respective owners. Have you ever recorded audio for a video and you did 15 minutes of recording, went to edit it together and realized you never plugged in your main microphone? Yeah, it sucks. Take two. Before we get on with the review, I have something I want to point out about Adventure 2 for the 5200 and XE line of computers that I didn't know until I purchased the 5200 version and started looking into it. Originally, the game was going to use the title Quest for the Golden Chalice, as there was fear of the Atari legal department putting an end to the obvious 2600 Adventure sequel. But something was worked out between the developer and Atari that allowed them to use the Adventure 2 name officially, as long as some of the work from the developer was provided to enable a 2600 flashback version of Adventure 2. I heard that Curt Vendel, whom we discussed in my 7800 flashback video, that I'll have a link to in the description somewhere, facilitated this to an extent. If this is true, it shows once again what a great link he was between Atari and the rest of the community. But the developer also stated that the whole deal left a bad taste in their mouth. I'm not 100% sure why, as he doesn't seem to go into it a whole lot, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Still, I thought it was awesome that the developers at Square Trio were able to get permission to use the name from Atari. But despite that cool tidbit, is it actually worth playing? Or should you just learn about it here at the Atari Network? Which you should subscribe to, by the way. Let's find out. The first thing that caught my attention was how awesome the graphics looked. It's a great mixture of the classic adventure sprites, such as the square player sprite and the duck-looking dragons, along with the updated backgrounds, enemies, castles, and other various components. It all comes together very well, and looks like what I would imagine an official 5200 release of Adventure 2 would have looked like in 1983, or something like that. You explore a minimum of 2 kingdoms, but you can have up to a maximum of 4, and they all feel varied, different, and each have their own charms. If you happen to remember the original release year of the 2600 game, then you can even change up the player sprites to something that looks perfect for the rest of the upgraded visuals, or even something silly, like a crab. They do look nice, but some of the sprites are honestly too large for the environments and get stuck easily. Still, it's a nice bonus regardless. The sound follows the example of the graphics and manages to feel familiar, but with new updated components. I love the song that plays at the intro screen and at various points of the adventure, but I was disappointed that more music wasn't included. It would have been nice to have a background loop, or at least the option to play one, but maybe the lack of music will make it more authentic to the original for some people. The rest of the sound effects are fine, but some border on being annoying, especially when you're taking repeated hits from a dragon or another enemy. But still, the real question should be, did they manage to keep the gameplay true to the original, but still expand it in fun and innovative ways? And the answer is mostly yes. If you like the gameplay of Adventure, then you'll feel right at home here. And there's even all the same items as far as I can remember. You have your sword, the magnet, the bridge, keys, and of course the chalice, along with new stuff like a shield, bad eggs that allow you to fly across the environment, and planks that let you build bridges. And much like the original, you can change up the game modes to make things short and sweet with minimal items to deal with, or large and expansive with a whole variety of things to contend with. The dragons are persistent and as terrifying as ever if they catch you without your sword, but they also added a troll who will steal your items from you and put them elsewhere on the map, and a minotaur who you want to avoid at all costs, or else he'll kick you back to another area completely, negating your progress to that point and forcing you to work your way back to where you was. These new enemies are slightly irritating, but I found them to be clever additions overall, and they add some more strategy and challenge without overshadowing the ever-present dragons. In every one of the 22 different modes, you'll explore the Seashore Kingdom and the Green Kingdom, and these two are the most welcoming of the 4, as you would imagine. The Seashore Kingdom is always where you start, but you'll have to discover a key to enter the Seashore Castle, and grab the next key for the Green Kingdom. The Green Kingdom is the most difficult area in the easier modes. There you have to contend with a hedge maze that houses the Minotaur and Troll. If you manage to avoid the Minotaur and the Troll in the maze, along with the dragons, then you'll enter the castle and track down the chalice. Once you bring it safely home, your quest is over, and you'll receive a ranking based on how well you did. I recommend practicing on this mode for a bit before trying your hand at the full map, because things become much larger when you introduce the Ice Kingdom and the Dark Kingdom. But it's a welcome challenge once you get good at the game. Overall, there's a lot to do and play here, and conquering everything is rewarding, and familiar to the original, which is what most players will want. The 5200 retail library is already fairly solid in my opinion, but this game is a welcome addition, and something I think all 5200 fans should give a try. Overall, I feel it was a great first homebrew game for me to get, and I would recommend it as being a good place to start for other people too. That's why I decided to give Adventure 2 for the Atari 5200 4 rebuilt controllers out of 5. I was very close to giving this game a perfect 5, but it barely missed out on that score. And I'll tell you why here in a second, but let's get to the good things first. The game is a great continuation of Adventure on the 2600, and the large number of different modes will make sure that you can come back to this one often. Each of the kingdoms are unique, and the graphics manage to feel familiar, but also updated in clever ways. The dragons and new enemies each offer a unique challenge, and are clever in their implementation. There's also a nice variety of items and secrets as well. But the reason I couldn't give this game a perfect score is twofold. First is the sound. I like the music I hear, but having the option for a background loop would have been nice. Also, the sound effects of the dragon biting you can be a little harsh. But more importantly, you tend to get stuck on the walls and the environment a lot, especially if you're using the bonus sprites. But it happens more than I'd like with the standard normal square sprite. I get stuck on pieces of the environment way too often, and a lot of the game is in tight quarters, so it feels bad getting hung up on something and then being killed by a dragon. It didn't prevent me from enjoying the game, but I felt it was reason enough not to call the game perfect. But it was close, let me tell you. But now I want to know what you think in the comments below. Have you played Adventure 2 on the 5200 or the XE computers? Do you agree with my score? And even if you haven't played the game, do you think my reasoning for not giving it a perfect score is justified? Let me know your thoughts on Adventure 2, or even the original, in the comments below. And also, have you tried the 2600 version of Adventure 2 that was made available on one of the flashbacks? You know, the version that essentially allowed this one to keep the Adventure name? How is that compared to this one? Let me know about that as well. But that's enough for today, guys. This has been the 7800 Pro System Gamer on behalf of the Atari Network, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. Keep it classy, adventurers.